We have arrived in Stockholm. It's our first full day and we are going to take a walking tour, one of the free walking tours to get to know the city. Let's see what we see. We started our visit with a walking tour of Gamla stan. This is the old town. This is a great way to introduce yourself to a new place. Tons of cities have these free walking tours where your booking is free and then at the end you tip your tour guide. Honestly, I've had some really amazing tour guides with these. And right here you can see the city hall, which is one of the things that I added to my wish list of things to see from having seen it on the tour. The city has been here since the 1200s. So this area has really narrow streets, old buildings, old infrastructure. So it gives you that very charismatic old town feel. We're at Skansen today. It is a park and a zoo and museums and attractions, and there's an aquarium and there's tons of education and interactions and playgrounds. It's a huge park, so there's a ton to do here. I feel like it's great for kids, but also we're having a great time. It's a lot of fun here. Skansen is one of those items that whenever you look up what to do in Stockholm, it's going to be at the top of the list. And honestly, I get it. This is my second time visiting, and I don't think that we did a single thing this time that we had done the last time. This place is huge. We started with a walk around just to get an idea of what it was, and we found some of the farm animals and historic farm homes. And then after that, we prioritized historical buildings and the educational areas. They've brought these structures from all over Sweden and Scandinavia to show how traditional buildings looked throughout time. So these are actual buildings from the people who lived in these areas that were brought all the way in. It's really impressive. They also had actors that would teach you about what this building was used for back then and the different time periods of what you might experience in the average life of a Swede. My favorite was the dairy, which I didn't actually end up filming because I thought it was just an ice cream shop. But then also the general store. The people in there were really friendly, super interesting, and gave us some really delightful insight. The immersive information sharing is so much more fun than reading a plaque. I also thoroughly enjoyed the garden huts that were common in the mid-1900s, but this wasn't purely because the information was hugely interesting. It was also because I got to eat the fruit in the garden, which was so tasty. They have all sorts of fruit trees here. You can just eat the fruit off of them. This one is a currant. There's red currant, black currant, and clear white currant. And then there's cherry. Oh, they're tart cherries. They're very good, but very tart. How idyllic. Cinnamon bun number 1. How is it? It's good. I think cardamom bun is more my speed, but I'm not gonna say no. I also got a cinnamon bun, and I don't know. We're gonna keep looking for the best cinnamon bun. I'm gonna eat it, but I don't think it's the best cinnamon bun in Stockholm. We watched this short play about the introduction of the washing machine into the average home. Feels so random, but then also somehow fits in with what Skansen is as just a little bit of everything. We saw glass blowing and we found a bowling alley. If you're a curious person, this place is absolutely for you. You have no idea what the next interesting thing might be around the corner. Honestly, this is the kind of place my mom would love. One of the things that we were most excited about here was to go yarn shopping and to get some Scandinavian yarns. However, we did find that a lot of the yarns we found that were Scandinavian are also available to us in Berlin. Alright, so we just finished at the yarn shop. I bought some Chago little shorties so I can knit some socks. I've never used this style before, so we'll give it a try. They are very, very small, but hopefully that means it's more seamless. Neither of us bought any yarn because actually neither of us had any space for yarn, but I did say I could buy a mitten's worth of yarn if I find the right one. So we've got about 3 more shops on the trip that we'll go to, and we'll see what we find. We didn't find as many unique brands as we had hoped for, but it is always fun to go yarn shopping, and every yarn shop has its own personality.
Got little brown wooden buttons for my baby sweater that I'm knitting for my friend. They will be perfect, I hope, on the pink yarn.
In case you didn't know it was a yarn shop, we got a yarn flag. Yuck.
It's a bunch of things.
There were a ton of yarns in there, but most of them are pretty available around the world, so we can get a lot of it in Berlin, and so we didn't end up buying anything because we don't have a lot of space in our luggage, so nothing at this shop. This is our next yarn store. I've heard it's more than just yarn, but let's see. I did not plan on purchasing anything in there, but as you can see, it's not Swedish because there's not a lot of Swedish made yarn, though this store did have some, but it's at least, you know, northern, and it's very pretty colors, so I'm gonna make some mittens with it. Since we are doing a fiber tour and going to all the yarn shops, we also found a silk museum. And the silk museum was just right on theme for us because we were here as fiber art enthusiasts. This museum is spread across 2 floors where the Almgren silk factory operated, and it was operating here for over 100 years from 1833 to 1974. The top floor of the museum is more of a traditional museum feel. It has curated artifacts, stories pertaining to this specific factory, the industry on a whole. It was a really in-depth tour that gave you a ton of knowledge. This is the foreman's book of samples. It is used to make sure that everything's done right. The lower floor had all of the machinery still set up, and it's still in use today. They do produce, but not as much as they used to when it was a factory. It would have been amazing to see these 200-year-old machines at work, but unfortunately for us, nothing was running that day. Being a tourist is sometimes hard work, and you need to stop for a fika. This is a coffee and pastry break, which is super common here. And I took it as my personal mission to seek out the best cardamom bun in the city. Custard goes so well with the cardamom. This is top tier right here. Sabrina was doing the Vasa Museum, which I have already done, and I didn't want to do, so I decided to take a duck tour via ocean bus. I've never done it. We'll see how it is. This was my first time doing a duck tour. This was a 60-minute tour by land and by boat, and I had a great time. It was the perfect filler activity. First one on the boat. It was in the shade, the wind was blowing, I got to sit down for a while after a day of walking. It was such a fun and lighthearted activity that really rounded out my day super well. It was nice that it was kind of the opposite of our Gamla Stan tour, which covered just those narrow streets of the old town, and this covered way more space further out from the city that I would have not ventured to by myself, and there's nothing better than being on the water in summer. Pure joy. Another thing that we wanted out of this trip was to be able to get out into nature a little bit. So we planned 2 different day trips. The first one was to these smaller towns that had yarn shops that we were interested in. We got to see the countryside and work on our knitting, both on the trains and in some beautiful parks. I came all the way to Uppsala for this shop. Hopefully it's good. So far it looks really cute on the outside. No purchases of that one. We're finding that a lot of the yarn shops have the same thing over and over, which includes no sock yarn, which Sabrina is very disappointed about. Nothing hand-dyed here, but still very fun to look. The first stop had a large selection, but it was kind of similar to what we'd been seeing in Stockholm. The second one is where we finally found our locally sourced wool. This shop was run by a wonderful woman who curates only locally made and crafted items. It was so impressive to see how many talented artists were featured here. How cute is this shop? Such a fun shop. I would recommend it because I loved this shop. So I do think this was probably our last yarn store because it's Saturday and most of them are closed on Sunday, but I did make a purchase and Stina also made purchases. So it is the most locally sourced we could find. It's so local that it doesn't have a name. It is from a farmer who has their sheep graze on some of the public land. So the sheep maintain the land, and then this is their wool. Yep, so I just got the one, and then I did buy, it was all local makers, so they made a bunch of other things in there too, and I did get a few other things, but they're all gifts, so you don't get to see them yet.
I've been really good on this trip and haven't bought any yarn so far, so now I've got 3. These are the same locally sourced ones. I think she said they're about 10 kilometers away or something, where the sheep just graze out in the field. And I got a white and a brown, and then of course had to get sock yarn because that's all I ever buy. But it's pretty, and it's got like purple streaked through it.
After all that yarn buying, we needed a fika break before heading back to the big city. The second day trip that I planned was done by ferry. We hopped on a boat for an hour ride out to a small island. We rented some kayaks from an automatic kayak machine, and we're gonna go see if we can find some islands. Yeah, just gonna hang out on the water. There are so many islands here, you honestly could find one closer and easier to get to, but I specifically wanted one where I could rent a kayak at. So we found a self-service kayak rental and we took our boats out for about an hour and a half. It actually was the perfect amount of time. We looped one of the smaller islands and then were able to just kind of dock our kayaks onto a rock so that we could go in for a quick swim on our way back. There is no better way to enjoy summer weather. This was a pure delight.
Oh, that was smooth as could be. Thank you. I can't believe you got that on camera.
We found a little island that we could stash our kayaks at to go for a little swim. It was so refreshing. I'm having a great time. I do have my GoPro with me, but actually it's a DJI, not GoPro. This is not sponsored. But I don't have a wrist strap, and I'm really worried about losing it on my first use, so I didn't take it swimming with me. I need it more secure before I feel comfortable using it, but I do have it, so next video you'll see hopefully some fun video from water. Our final activity is one that I mentioned earlier and I had added during our walking tour right at the beginning. I wanted to see the Golden Hall inside the City Hall. This is a tour only entrance, and so we grabbed the final tour on our final day.
Social services, elder care, schools, city planning, and so on.
And I have to say, this is one of the prettiest city halls that I've ever seen. It is where the reception for the Nobel Prize dinner is held every year. They have grand halls, epic views, a room lined with gold, and so much more history about the city and knowledge about what life is like here and how this city runs. And so even though I'd taken 2 other guided tours about this city, it still had unique information, and I found it very interesting. Maybe is my last cardamom bun. Our final evening, I finally made it to Stora, which came highly recommended. The review, wonderful. So this might be my last cardamom bun in Stockholm. We went to Stora because it was highly recommended. Hopefully it's the best. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Get a zoom on the bun.
Ooh. Thanks for coming along to see our tour of Stockholm. I think this place has so much to offer, and no matter where your interests lie, I think you can find something for you here. Thanks for joining along. I'll see you next time.